Oh, Henry, congratulations on becoming the new CEO of Autistic Minds.
Thank you. Looking forward to getting started.
How does it feel?
It feels still quite surreal at the moment. I don't actually start the role until the 28th of October, and we're filming this before I've started, so it still feels quite surreal. I've had a great week or couple of weeks where I've been able to meet some different people from within the charity and get a bit more of an understanding of what goes on. So yeah, it feels very good. Feels good right now.
It's a big job. What motivated you to take it on?
And there's two elements for me. I think from a personal perspective, I love what the charity does. There's no getting around that fact. I think it was 2018 I was involved in some of the employability skills workshops. I was doing the mock interviews towards the end. And I just really loved and really value the sort of support that's able to be offered here. I think it's great that as a charity we focus on and we support people with workplace skills, and we support people in those really key areas, but we also recognise the need for the social. And I think that for me that was a really key thing that really motivated me to want to come along, and really recognising actually the person as a whole and not just their professional persona. Again, from a personal perspective, my partner's autistic, and I've seen and experienced or been part of the experiencing how she has had to deal with university, how she's had to deal with employment, and some of the barriers that have been there. It's been really upsetting at times. My nephew's also autistic, and I've spent a lot of time speaking to my sister and working with her to see what we can do to get him the best support in education. And I've got ADHD myself, and when I had my diagnosis, I was what would be considered a later diagnosis when I was 28, and my very first call was to the autism directory, as it was called at the time. So there's a lot of personal reasons that I really value the charity, and made me want to come along. Professionally, it felt right. I've spent the last 10 years of my life in recruitment and sat within HR teams. I've spent a lot of my time working and focusing on diversity and inclusion, and naturally, because of my own sort of personal background and experiences, that's really lent towards neurodiversity in a lot of ways. So I think combining my personal experiences and my professional background, it felt right, and it felt like I happened to be coming to the end of a contract at the same time as this role going out, and it just felt like the timing couldn't be more perfect, and it felt like it was the right thing to be doing.
A lot of people will be wondering, who is Henry Field? So spill, who is Henry Field?
Oh gosh, this question always stumps me when people ask sort of, tell us about yourself and who are you? I think I'm really boring. What I mean by that is I'm a real sort of live to work person, and I know that's not always the most healthy thing in the world, and I don't expect it of my own teams, and I don't recommend it for people. But I'm a real live to work person. All of my hobbies. I've been a volunteer manager for Pride Cymru in the past. I've been involved in and I'm involved in an external inclusion panel for the Scottish and Southern Electricity Network, where we work to really make sure that their vulnerable customers are getting the best support available when it's needed, and working on things around fuel poverty. That's the sort of thing that really excites me. I like to use my professional experience to benefit and support other people where I can. Outside of that, I love a bit of gaming, I must admit. I know it's not really the done thing for people to admit that too much, but honestly, when that new Baldur's Gate came out last year, I lost about 2 weeks of 2 weeks of my spare time. I enjoy going to Comic-Cons. I went to a Comic-Con last week. It was something that my partner Tegan got me involved in, and we started going to those when we got together. Yeah, I've got a dog called Jensen. He's a Chow Chow. Always wanted a Chow Chow. Yeah, is that okay? That's me.
Tell us about your lived experience and neurodivergence.
For me, I have ADHD. I talk about it quite openly, and I speak about that quite a lot. I was, for me, because I didn't get the diagnosis till I was 28, and it was, I'd had 8-9 years of working in professional environments beforehand. My experience of neurodiversity comes from being that person where your boss turns around and says, look, you're great at what you do, but will you just sit down and be quiet for 5 minutes? And remembering, leaning into it and finding it a little bit funny at the time, but also then sitting back constantly and thinking, how much of a barrier is this always going to be? My experience comes from being that person in school that, the art teacher used to let me do my artwork sat in the stationery cupboard because I found it much easier than sitting in the classroom. I had an English teacher at one stage that used to let me sit on the windowsill with with one of those clipboards instead of sitting at a desk. I was always very difficult to get to sit down for too long. And at the time I was I was just Henry and just quirky. And when I was working in professional environments, it did create barriers at times. I'm not one to be able to sort of sit back and not ask questions, and when people ask how I am, I actually give them an answer, which not everyone expects. My experience comes from growing up and getting into the workforce without realising that there was a diagnosable reason for the way I am. That could be terrible wording. I apologise if it is. It's just that's sort of how my understanding of myself came along. So that's my sort of personal experience, and then having that diagnosis and realising and thinking, okay, for 4 years of my life beforehand, I'd always worked in and found a way to work with clients in the social care sector, and I did a lot of recruitment for support workers that supported autistic adults, and suddenly, and I did work with charities and companies to try and help bring down barriers for people that were neurodiverse. And as soon as I got that diagnosis, suddenly the walls that I'd spent sort of several years trying to bring down for other people, and it feels like such a sort of strong metaphor to be using, but as soon as I got that diagnosis and they said, okay, you have ADHD, and they gave me the piece of paper that confirmed it in a letter so that I could give it to my employer, suddenly it was like this physical wall just came up and round, and suddenly I wasn't just Henry, I was Henry who has a neurodiverse disability. Suddenly I was Henry that had medication to be able to sort of focus and understand and get through the day. And that was my experience. And Autistic Minds, or the Autism Director as they were at the time, was there for me for that. Yeah, and then there's the connections as well. I think most of my social circle are neurodiverse in one way, shape or form. As I said, my partner's autistic. My nephew has autism. My niece has actually just recently had an ADHD diagnosis. So it's something that's always a part of my life, whether it's for me or those around me. I think that's probably quite a long-winded answer.
So, what are your ambitions for the charity?
I want to see us grow. I want to see us have even more of an incredible impact than the one that we're already having. I know that we as a charity do a lot to focus on employability skills and work opportunities for autistic and neurodiverse adults. I've sat in HR teams, I've sat in the private sector, I've sat in those meetings where managers are openly saying, this person's applied for the role, they've said they're autistic, and I'm really worried about what I need to do to manage them, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know what to say. I want Autistic Minds to be part of the solution. I want to get us to a position where we're not just focusing on the employability skills of autistic adults, but we're also actually working on the line management skills of businesses and other external partners, and looking at how we can make society itself more inclusive. I think with the terminology, we fall into a very dangerous position where when we just talk about the employability skills of autistic adults, it sounds like the autistic adults need to be the ones to do something different, when actually, in my experience, there are just as many things that can be worked on and opportunities for personal development within the line managers of these companies that we want to be working with, and within the private sector and the wider public and third sector that we could actually be really influencing, not just in employment either. I mean, that's where I want to start off, because that's where a lot of our focus is, but looking at how we can build more inclusive social spaces, because at the moment we hold very specific networking groups and social groups, and we bring people together. In the ideal golden world, and I appreciate this is so much easier said than done, what about creating spaces where you don't have to specifically tailor it to be accessible to people that are autistic? How about just making spaces accessible to everyone, so that it doesn't need to have that specific sort of requirement, or considering it working in a different way, or considering it making something specifically inclusive. I'd like to see us be part of making that change. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's going to take a lot of focus. But I think we can get there. Yeah.
Thank you. Many neurodivergent people have in the past not had the best experiences with organisations set up to support them. How would you reassure them, Henry? What could they expect from Autistic Minds going forward?
I think there's actually two answers to that, and two sort of different lenses I'd like to use. What they can expect from Autistic Minds as a charity is support. We want to listen, we want to be here, we want to be able to take and understand and hear those experiences, so that we can work and make sure that we tailor the support that we offer to be able to deal with those issues. Unless we know what the specific issues are that people are facing on a daily basis, we can't do anything to tailor our services to help. So as a charity, I want people to understand and know that we are listening, and we are doing everything we can to change that, so that other people don't have to have that experience. And the other lens of that is what people can expect from me personally, because the charity is obviously there to support everyone, including those that work within the charity, but also wider communities. For me personally, I want people to know and understand they can speak to me about where the issues lie. They can come to me and say, this is something I'm struggling with, and this is what I'm experiencing, and what can I do, or what can be done, or what can we look at changing. I want people to trust and want to be able to understand and know I'm here to support in all the ways that I can, and I'm looking at this through the lens of someone that has experienced a lot of these difficulties. I want people to be able to trust and understand that I have been in HR departments where I've had neurodiverse colleagues come up to me and say, this isn't working, or I've had managers say, I want to do the right thing here, but actually I don't know how. And to trust and to be able to know that they can come to me and tell me when things aren't working out, and when we need to look at how we work and what we do. I think that's what I'd like people to know from me and the charity.
As I'm sure you're aware, Henry, 86% of our team are neurodivergent. What would you like to say specifically to them?
What I'd like the team here to understand and know is I am here to offer all the support that I can in making sure that Autistic Minds continues to be an incredibly inclusive place for neurodiverse colleagues to be working in, and for team members to be able to thrive. I want people to know that my door is open, and when I'm not physically in the office, my Teams is open. I'm I always want to make sure I'm as contactable as possible. I want to make sure that two-way communication is always open. And I don't know what needs to be focused on unless people tell me what needs to be focused on. And I hope that people can trust and know that they can come to me when they need to.
Thank you for your answers so far, Henry, but I fear that we've been going easy on you. So here come the difficult questions. What's your favourite colour?
Oh, purple. That's an easy question. Absolutely purple. I mean, I probably shouldn't do it on here, but it's on the shoes. I have a purple bag that normally goes everywhere with me. I've not transferred my stuff over to it yet. I'm always wearing something that's purple. I think most of my books that you'll see me using, most of my notepads are always purple. Some have told me it's a mould obsession. I'm okay with that. Yeah, purple.
Sweet or savoury?
Oh, it really depends on my mood. As soon as I think sweet, I think of an apple crumble with custard. So I do like sweet, but I really have to be in the mood for it. I am finding as I'm getting older, I'm moving towards savoury, but at the same time, you can never go wrong with an apple crumble. I think I've got more of a sweet tooth than I'd like to admit. Probably sweet, actually.
Summer or winter? Summer.
Absolutely easy question. Summer. I hate the cold. I do not like the cold whatsoever. Summer.
Taylor Swift or David Bowie?
Oh, that's not fair. I mean, David Bowie is an icon, but Taylor Swift is an icon for very different reasons. I can't answer that. I can't. Both. Non-committal answer, both.
Well, this has been lovely. Thank you very much, Henry, and welcome to Autistic Minds.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to getting started.